All right, we're here for chapter 2 of The Best Loser Wins. If you haven't seen chapter 1, definitely go find that video and watch that one first. But here we go. Tom, again, thank you. You're the man. Appreciate this. This chapter hit home, which most of these chapters do. All right, anyone who's a day trader is going to really resonate with this. So let's get into it. The fallacy of the winning mindset. Okay, in chapter 2, Tom talks about the challenges of one of the most deeply held beliefs among traders and performance enthusiasts alike. The idea of having a winning mindset guarantees success. He argues that traditional concepts of positivity, motivation, and visualizing success are largely ineffective when applied to trading. In fact, clinging to these ideas can actually be detrimental because they ignore the harsh, uncomfortable, and counterintuitive nature of the trading environment. This is so true. I shared in the last video that I do visualize wins, but I mean, just as important, I visualize the loss. When I enter a trade, I think about hitting the TP and what that's going to feel like. I think about hitting my stop loss and what that's going to feel like. And I allow myself to be comfortable with both outcomes, right? Of course I want the win, but that's not always going to happen. And what I don't want is for me to hit the stop loss and get emotional and then reverse my trade and go, okay, I'm wrong. I need the win, so let me reverse and go the way I think the market's going to go now that I was wrong. Okay? So those are the kinds of things, that I've done with visualization is I need to be comfortable with both wins and losses. And Tom explains that trading success demands a completely different psychological framework, one rooted in embracing losses, discomfort, doing what feels unnatural. Unlike in sports or business, where confidence and momentum play a role, trading requires the trader to willingly step into pain and accept being wrong. That was one of my biggest things was like, I'm calling this trade for myself. I'm entering the trade and it hits my TP, or I'm sorry, my stop loss, and I'm like, oh, I was wrong, and I had a hard time accepting that. But guess what? With most winning strategies are usually like 60-40, 70-30. There's a 40 30, 40, 50% loss rate that you have to deal with. And if you don't, you're going to start making emotional decisions. And that's really what he focuses on. He focuses on these emotional reactions and how, they really, damage the outcome, of like what we're trying to do here, which is be successful while being okay with feeling uncomfortable with the losses. So, all right. This is why. Okay, so here we go. Being willing to step into pain and accept being wrong, to take losses without emotional reaction, and to remain calm during uncertainty. This is why conventional self help mindset often fails in trading. It is not designed to prepare someone to do the opposite of what feels good. I've had days where, I've been like, oh, this is my setup, this is my trade plan. My trade plan's going, but the market's like firing in the opposite direction. But, I have to be willing to follow my actual plan even when it doesn't feel good, because my feelings don't play a role in this, logical decision making, right? So of course I do try and understand what the market is telling me. Just because I have a strong daily bias in one direction or the other does not mean I won't trade against that daily bias, because I know I can be wrong. I've learned to be okay being wrong. And I've learned to flip my bias when I'm like, obviously I'm wrong. I need to flip my bias and look for a healthy entry. All right. So he emphasizes that true trading strengths come from internalizing the fact that losing is a part of the process and not a personal failure. I've worked with a lot of people. This is a thing. Like, people are like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to lose, but then they lose a trade and they just go on tilt, right? They revenge trade. They start going, and I'm talking from my own experience too. I'm not just saying, oh, traders that I've talked to, they're a bunch of losers. I'm like, no, I've had this conversation in the mirror, you know. And actually, I kind of have a funny video called "I Blame the Coffee." Go look at my stuff and find it. It's not too long, but it's pretty funny because I literally was telling my wife about a loss I took, and I was blaming the coffee because I had had too much espresso and I was too excited, and she was just like, Really? You're gonna blame the coffee? I'm like, yeah, okay, that's true. It wasn't the coffee. It was me. I made the decision. The decision was wrong, and I need to be okay with that. All right. So losing is a part of this process. It's not a personal failure. Okay. One single trade does not define you. Okay. All right. The real mental toughness is not about confidence in outcomes, but one's ability to follow rules and execute regardless of how it feels. All right. Guys, we are emotional beings, and I don't care how, emotionally strong you think you are. Go day trade, okay? It'll show you how emotionally strong you are not. And I can look in the mirror and tell myself I know where my flaws are. I've got a long laundry list of them that I have to keep track of to maintain profitability. I have to keep on myself, okay? So anyway, let's just keep going. Hougaard encourages traders to abandon the seductive illusion of certainty and instead cultivate habits and routines that condition them to act rationally under pressure. Okay, guys, I'm very serious about this. Okay, if you don't feel the pressure when you're day trading, that's okay. So this is why people can paper trade and just make money all day long, but then they get a funded account, or they try to get a funded account, and they just like crumble under that pressure. I personally crumble under pressure when I'm like live trading in front of a group. Like my partner, like my business partner, he can live trade in front of people, and it like just doesn't even affect him, right? But that's his strength. Mine is like encouragement, and seeing into people on, things that they share with me about their trading. I'm able to speak into their life, that like wisdom of day trading. Like that's my gift. His, like legit, he's a very good coach. I'll tell you what, he impresses me, and he could just live trade in front of people, and he does that in our Discord. But for me, a lot of times I still crumble under that pressure sometimes, because I know my weakness is the fear of being wrong, and then let's take that fear and put it out publicly and let me be wrong publicly. It hits me harder than it should. I shouldn't let it. It's just somewhere where I haven't matured yet, But as far as like being wrong in the mirror, I've learned to be okay with that. I've learned to be like, that was a good trade, but it didn't work out. Or that was a good trade and it did work out. Or hey, that was a bad trade. I shouldn't have taken that. I was too excited. It was a little FOMO. You know what? That's okay. And then I'm able to not go on tilt. I'm able to just look at myself in the mirror and be like, that's all right. You made a bad decision. Let's move on to the next trade. Right. And that's been huge for me. And that's why I want to share these things with you guys. Right. And it's just amazing. Like take the time to, do your journaling, have these, silly conversations with yourself about the trades you take, about your emotions. A lot of people are like, I don't want to talk about emotions. Let's talk about data. Where's the golden strategy? I can hand you the golden strategy, and if you struggle in these areas, like the rest of us humans, you won't be able to do it. Okay, it takes a specific kind of training in your mind, and I still have to keep track of myself all the time, or I lose profitability very quickly. All right. So this chapter encourages readers to redefine what it means to win in trading. Winning is not measured by an outcome of a single trade. That's what I said earlier. Do not hinge your trading career on a single trade. Okay? Don't be overexcited about a win. Don't be destroyed by a loss. Just take it to the next trade. Okay? Take 50 to 100 trades. Take a look at your strategy. Take a look at how you're doing. That's why you journal your data for your strategy. And then that's why you journal like your emotions, so you know which trades are like, okay, I have, out of the 50, I have 6 FOMO trades, and I have 10 on tilt trades because I got stopped out and I got really upset and revenge traded. Okay, now you have 16 trades out of 50 that shouldn't be there. One, you can see your real strategy to see how you would have played the strategy out if you hadn't gotten in the way. And I promise you guys, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking into a mirror, okay? But those 16 trades, if I can get half of that under control, am I profitable? what if I get it all under control and I'm only making 1 or 2 or 3 bad trades out of 50 that shouldn't be there per emotion? That's pretty good. Okay. Most people I've mentored, if you can remove those trades and the tilt and the FOMO and the revenge, they're profitable. Okay. It's not strategy. It's us. All right. So don't let that single trade define you. In trading, winning is not measured by the outcome of a single trade, but by consistently making disciplined decisions that are aligned with the probabilistic edge that you have. Okay? Your edge. That's why we call ourselves the day trading edge. You got to have an edge. If you haven't defined an edge that you're comfortable with and that you know and that you can look at the market and be like, I'm going because this is my edge, then you're not in a place to day trade yet. You do need more education. But if you have an edge and you just can't execute it because emotionally you get jacked, one, I understand 100%. And two, now you know what you need to work on. Okay. So emotional detachment from the outcome and the attachment to the process is where the real winning mindset lives. You need to detach from the outcome. Don't chase the money. That is so hard. It's hard for me too. I shared in the first video, I'm very ambitious, and that ambitious gives me drive, and that drive makes me want to make money, not for a car, not for Rolexes, not for prestige, but just to simply be a provider for my family. Okay? But that gives me some serious drive. Right? And if I allow that drive and that to just over fuel, then I'm throwing fuel on, my emotions. And then I start to become over ambitious and I start to take trades I shouldn't because I am shooting for a goal. All right. And I'm emotionally detached to the outcome. Okay. It's kind of crazy. If you stop focusing on the money, you'll make money. Okay. Be attached to the process. Fall in love with your day trading process. That process is where the real winning mindset lives. If I take a trade nowadays and I'm like, oh, that was a FOMO trade, man, that was a revenge trade, I get that's when I get upset, and I definitely try to detach from the market, but I'm like, no. That's not what I want to be emotionally attached to. I want to be emotionally attached to my process, to be like, did I follow my process? Good job. Let's go. High five. Let's do this. Or, that's where the focus needs to be. All right. So let's kind of go through the study guide for applications here. So let's just talk about applying this. Do you rely on motivation or good feelings to trade well? This is huge. Okay. One, I say take your pulse before you trade. Don't trade if you're feeling bad. Okay. If you don't feel emotionally strong, just don't trade. I'm telling you, that'll make you money. All right. Let me say that again. If you feel a little emotionally messed up, don't trade because that will make you money. All right. Because if you go in, it's almost guaranteed to lose it, because a couple trades, you'll go on tilt, you'll try to revenge. All right. Don't look for the market to make you feel better. All right. I said that in the last video, but that's really important. All right. How do you respond to a losing streak? Do you change your strategy or your mindset? Okay. If you're on a losing streak, you need to take a look at the trades and make sure it's not you getting in the way. If it's a bunch of FOMO and you're going on tilt and that's your losing streak, you know what caused your losing streak. Was it your strategy? Your strategy may need some updating, but what do you call a losing streak? 5 or 10 losses? In all reality, that's not a losing streak that you need to change your strategy for. Okay? You might just need to change your mindset. Right? You might be taking some trades you shouldn't, but a really good strategy can take up to like 12 losses in a row. Are you prepared mentally to take that? I've literally given my strategy to people and they've gone and implemented it. And I had one guy reach out. I was like, man, this thing's terrible. What are you talking about? I'm like, look, I know it's been rough because I've been trading it, but give it some time. And he did. And you know what? He was like, this is working now. And I'm like, it's not going to work all the time. But for the most part, over a long period of time, it works well. All right. Are you mentally prepared to execute your edge even when it feels uncomfortable? Okay. Do you believe in your edge enough that you don't feel like the trade is going to work out in your favor, but it's there and you see it. Do you still execute your edge? Okay. We can't base day trading off of emotions. Now, you do need to pay attention to your emotions. You don't bottle these up and put them on a shelf and ignore them. They're there for a reason. But we need to train our emotions and we need to not make decisions based on our emotions. Okay. So let's talk about some practical applications here. So let's redefine winning. Redefine winning. Judge success by following your plan, not your P&L. Dude, I'm telling you, everybody's like, "Hey, this trade didn't work out. Why?" I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it looks good. Was that your strategy? Yeah. Okay, so it didn't work out. What about the last 25, 50 trades, 75 trades, 100 trades? How's that working out? Pretty good. Okay. Yeah, just keep going. Stop tilting, stop FOMOing, and all that stuff. Okay. You judge success by following your plan, not by your P&L. So I know that's hard to say. It doesn't matter if you're making money or not. Judge your success by following your plan, because eventually you're going to be able to redefine your plan and maybe adjust your plan to where you make money. Okay. But if you're not judging the success by following your plan and you're only doing P&L, I'm going to jump from strategy to strategy to strategy to strategy. And I'll find pockets of winning strategies, but I may have had the best strategy, but that made me the most money, but I threw it away because it had 7 losses in a row. Okay. All right. Train for discomfort. Practice executing trades that feel difficult but meet your criteria. All right. This one's hard. This is hard. And this is where you can get a practice account and you can do it. Right. So excuse me. Let go of outcome or bias. Listen, I I do have a daily bias when I go in, but I am extremely flexible with my daily bias. I do not allow my daily bias to own me. Okay. I know a lot of people use it as a crutch, like, oh, I shouldn't have longed. My daily bias was short. And I've just learned that, the market's going to go for liquidity, whether the daily bias is bullish or bearish or not. It's shooting for liquidity, right? Whatever liquidity is injected into the market, guess where the market's going? To that liquidity. Okay. So the bias can change immediately. So I'm very flexible. I do pull, high time frame liquidity zones. I do, my fair value gaps on high time frames. I pay attention, to all the higher time frame stuff that allows me to have a bias, but I've just learned not to allow myself to get stuck where I'm like, I will long today somehow, somewhere. I may start long and then I may switch to short if that's what the market's given me. So detach from trade by trade outcomes, focus on the long term process. Okay. So, yet again, just detach from your single trade. You're making a single trade today. Take your trade, but know that that one outcome does not define you. If you have a bad day because you lost a trade, that's not good. Okay. Yes, I can understand 7 to 10 losses. You're like, whoa, I'm feeling a little beat up. It's been 10 days. I've had 7 losses. That's hard. Okay. I get that. Okay. But you keep going, you keep coming in with a fresh mindset every day. You keep, working on your plan. You don't jump strategy. You just keep going. Okay. So focus on the long-term process. Maybe you need to pull the last 50 trades to remind yourself, like, whoa, I had 15 winners over here in a row. That's nice. Okay. All right. So focus on the long-term process, not trade by trade. Okay. The things you want to focus on trade by trade is, how are my emotions? How did I do managing my trade? Did I make decisions based logically off my plan? Those kinds of things. So ditch the positive thinking trap. Accept that pain, fear, and losses are a part of the job, not just signs of failure. Okay, just because you feel pain because you took a stop loss, you feel the fear that you've taken some losses, right? Just understand that this is not signs of failure. This is a part of your plan. I've seen people trade like 50-50 strategies and make money, but that means, 10 out of 20, they're going to lose. So you have to be okay with that loss. All right. Build emotional muscle. Okay. One of my challenges is I want you to look at the market and don't trade. Just put it on your chart and mentally trade. Be like, oh, that would have been a trade. Hey, there it is. Sweep of liquidity. I would have taken that trade. Okay. But don't do it. Show yourself you don't have to trade. If you over trade a lot, make yourself watch the market without trading. Exercise that muscle. Okay. That's an emotional workout. There you go. Reflect weekly on how you responded to discomfort, not just results. Okay. It's easy to be like, man, look at this week. Yeah, it took 15 trades, 14 winners. Let's go. Okay. We're going to have those weeks. All right. But we're also going to have the weeks like I took 14 trades and 11 were losses. Okay. How did you respond to that discomfort? Did you continue to follow your plan? It's not going to feel good, no. But did you continue to follow your plan? Are you being, emotionally strong? Are you flexing your emotional muscle by sticking to the plan even though you're getting destroyed? That's a good place to be. I know it's not easy to say or hear, but that's a good place to be. All right. So here we go. All right, action steps this week. So reframe from a recent loss. So reframe it, right? Did you follow your process? If you did, good job. Give yourself a gold star. Okay? You can lose and feel good about it because you did the right thing. That's the mental exercise that Tom is telling us to do. Okay? And yes, guys, if I stop focusing on this kind of stuff, this is the reason why I've been through this book 3 times. I start to lose again, right? Because it's human nature. But, take this kind of stuff, not just what I'm saying, but definitely take what's in his book, learn from these people that, really know what they're doing. All right. Review your trading journal. Are your notes focused on feelings or discipline? Now, I kind of do both, but I think what this is going to tell you is what are you focused on? If all of your trading notes are based off of data and P&L, that's a problem. If all of your notes are focused on nothing but emotions, to me that's better, but it still could be a problem. You need to review your trading journal and see if your trades were based on what you were feeling or was it based on your actual, your edge and were you disciplined about it, right? I would incorporate all that into your journal. Okay. Even if it's quick notes, and a lot of times video journaling is the best. So identify one trade this week that felt uncomfortable and follow through with it. So find a trade that you're like, this is my trade, right? We're in a bullish environment, but man, we swept this London high. We're displacing down. I got a fair value gap. We revisited it. Now we're now it's showing, lower highs and rejecting. Take that trade. It feels wrong because you're against your daily bias or you're against this or you're just like, oh man, I think it's bullish, but my edge is telling me it's not, that I should take this trade. Practice that, right? That's what paper accounts are for. So yeah. So here, hold on. Let me do this. I'm going to add another page down here. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so identify a trade this week that felt uncomfortable and follow through with it. So find a trade that's going to feel uncomfortable and then just go with it if it fits your plan. You're exercising your emotional. You're hitting the gym emotionally. Okay. Write a new affirmation. I am here to follow a process, not to feel good. I am here to follow the process, not to feel good. Okay? That's a good one. I'm not here to feel good. I am not going to use the market. If I have a bad day at work, I said this last video, I'm not going to just go on the market and be like, I need a W. I want to feel good. Let me get a W. Whatever, this happened, that happened, and person pulled out in front of me, cut me off. I almost got in a car wreck. Man, I'm just going to come home and get a W. I'll feel better. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're setting yourself up to trade emotionally. Okay. I am here to follow a process, the process, my process, not to feel good. Okay. Final quote from Tom. The market does not reward confidence. It rewards discipline. Okay. So yet again, it's not about confidence. It's not about, how much ambition you have and how much drive you have and how hard you work. No, it rewards discipline. Okay. So I hope this video has been helpful to you guys. We got some links down below to our Discord. Yes, you can join. You can join us and live trade with us. And, we work together on keeping a healthy mindset. And please share this video out, not just to like help grow my tiny baby channel here. I really don't care about that, but I really want to help people. All right. This is the kind of stuff that's going to allow people to find success in day trading, because I haven't found anything that's harder than day trading. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.